Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille show. Happy Thursday to you. Good Thursday to you. Great show. I've been looking forward to this show because a friend of this program, Melissa Close-Hart, is going to be our special guest. She is the executive chef at Junction restaurant, and she is a rock star. Melissa Close-Hart joins us in a matter of moments. We also have at 3 p.m. a brand new show airing on the I Love CVille network. It's going to be the Caring for Creatures story. I think you guys know that animals, dogs in particular, mean the world to me. I have 3 dogs. Unfortunately, I had to put my oldest girl down last week, which has been tough and no fun. But dogs mean a lot to me. And at 3 o'clock today, we're going to feature a nonprofit caring for creatures in their own show from 3 to 3:30. Mary Burkholtz, for over 30 years, has given her entire life to saving the most at-risk dogs on the Mid-Atlantic. The dogs that are about to be euthanized at the shelters. She goes, takes to her place, and then tries to rehome them. 3 p.m. is the Caring for Creatures story. Let's pay the bills. Let's thank the folks that make this show possible, and then welcome Melissa Close-Hart to the show. First, Greenberry's Coffee, and I've been highlighting their entrepreneurial journey. It's a couple. About 30 years ago, a beat-up Honda Civic. They had some sweat equity and some money, and they wanted to build a coffee shop. Now it's global with locations in Qatar, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Washington, D.C., soon to open in Portland, Oregon. That's a beautiful story. A story I really want to highlight is a partnership I helped set up between Greenberry's and Caring for Creatures, where the almond brittle latte, a brand new latte introduced for 2019, the proceeds from this latte are being donated to Mary's outfit in Caring for Creatures, which I think is awesome. So if you could drink the almond brittle latte at Greenberry's, you would be helping a nonprofit that absolutely needs your help. We also want to thank Dr. Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine for being a part of this show. I have seen firsthand people walk into Dr. Wagner's office with a terrible quality of life and leave after some treatment and some diligence and some personal and professional expertise and leave feeling much better. Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine, who's got your back? I think, Harris, on that note, let's welcome Melissa Close-Hart to the show. How are you, Melissa?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. She and I have done a few things on camera, a good dynamic here, and I'm excited to introduce you guys to Melissa in a live setting. Why don't we start with an open-ended question here?
Okay.
Who is Melissa Close-Hart, the person? We know who you are, the chef, but how about you, the person, when you're leaving the kitchen, you're chilling, what are you doing?
Oh, I don't do much. I work all the time.
She does.
I think that Melissa, the chef, but I really always call myself a cook, is the core of who I am. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. I just turned 48, so it's a lot of years in the kitchen, and it's hard to separate the two after that many years. But I watch a lot of crime television and Criminal Minds, Law and Order, and that kind of stuff. And I play with all my dogs and goats and hang with my husband and my son and go out with the girls every once in a while.
She is also an animal lover.
Yep.
Loves dogs, has goats.
Yep.
Maddie, her husband, who's the executive chef at the local, loves reptiles.
Reptiles. He loves the reptiles.
Yeah, so she might not love the reptiles as much. I think you're more into mammals.
Yes.
I
like furry animals.
Yeah, she likes furry animals. The thing, Catherine Muse says you sound great, and I'm watching while typing up your menu and your delicious recipes. Thank you, Catherine Muse. Rosemary Trewick, your aunt.
Yep.
I'm messing up her name. Rosemary. I'm called Rosemary.
Yep, Aunt Rosie.
Aunt Rosie. She says, you look great, Melissa. We're on 7 channels here on the I Love CVille network. How about, you talked about you got into being in the cooking game when you were 15 years old. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the birth story of your professional career and how it started?
Definitely. We had a program, I can't remember the name of it, where business owners and managers would come into the high school setting and just talk about, starting your work career. And we had a gentleman named Mr. Myers, which I actually just reconnected with his daughter that was my same age on Facebook several years ago. But he owned a McDonald's. I grew up in Mobile, Alabama, and there was probably, maybe 20 McDonald's in the city limits. All of them owned by one company that was a franchise, except this one independent McDonald's that Mr. Myers owned. And I bet you now, this was 1986 when I started working there. And I bet you if I went back now, there's still somebody on the morning crew that was there when I was there. Because it was more like a family mom and pop shop. He was there every day. His daughter worked there. So I got my start at 15 working there. I went through this class with him, and at the end of it, he's like, as soon as you turn 15, come talk to me. I want to hire you. And people give me a hard time sometimes. I got started in fast food, but I tell you, there's things you learn in a place like that, especially when it's run by a family type guy. I learned cleanliness, inventory control, speed, accuracy, and that's a lot to learn at that young age. And I stayed there for 3 years through high school. And then I left and went to college. And then my second job was definitely a mom and pop. It was actually called Firehouse Barbecue.
Cool.
Most of the employees there, we had a volunteer fire department in my college town. So it was owned by one of those guys, and a lot of the volunteer firemen worked there. And I walked in, and third question he asked me was like, what's your work experience? I was like, I've only had 3 years at McDonald's and some babysitting and yard work, that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, you're hired. I was like, what? He's like, anybody that can work for McDonald's for 3 years has got work ethic. And then a full-service restaurant opened in my college town. I was tired of smelling like smoked pork and walked in, and chef asked me all these chefy questions, like, do you know the mother sauces? Do you know how to make this? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but show me once, I can replicate it. And that was the starting. I was probably 19 or 20 at that time, and that was my first restaurant job. And put myself through college with, of course, my mom and dad's help and some scholarships, and made it through and got a bachelor's in psychology and sociology and a master's in education, and said I was never going back to the restaurant business, was tired of weekends, tired of holidays, and did my student teaching and a year of substituting and a year with AmeriCorps. And I fell right back in the restaurant business and been there ever since.
I feel like the restaurant business and Melissa Close-Hart just go hand in hand. Like when I talk to you about what you like to do, like outside of the restaurant business, you're like, gosh, the restaurant business is me.
My life.
Yeah. So why don't we turn that answer she just had into the first sizzle reel, because it was awesome. The sizzle reels we're doing are like highlight clips from the show Harris puts together. You have a lot of people watching right now, which we'll thank for watching. Laura Fauner, our friend.
Thanks, Laura. Hi.
Sarah Hill Baczynski's watching. Michael Guthrie, Andre Xavier, Anja Andalek from Fig on the UVA corner. She's the owner of that restaurant. Michael Guthrie, Danny Hastings from Scottsville, John Wine in Keswick, Ray Jordan, Jeremy Stanwyck.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're popular.
Make a girl feel special.
And Jessica says, I believe, and correct me, Jessica Pura?
Yep.
Okay, she says, nice shirt, Mel.
Gotta represent.
Yeah, she's representing. Melissa Close-Hart, guys, is the executive chef at Junction, which I think is one of the best restaurants in Charlottesville and Belmont. This question came in before the show even started from Twitter, and they wanted you to compare and contrast you as the executive chef at Junction versus you as the executive chef at, and correct me, Palladio, which is the restaurant at Barbersville Vineyards, an esteemed, regionally, East Coast-wise recognized restaurant at Barbersville Vineyards. Compare and contrast. It's a good question.
Yep. Palladio was my first executive chef job. I was working for Craig Hartman out in Colorado, and he got a call that Luca Pasquina, the winemaker and general manager at Palladio, was looking for a chef, and he pushed me out of the nest, so to speak. Craig's my second papa and my mentor. He told me it was time to fly on my own, and moved back to Virginia and started working there. They'd been open about 13 months when I took over, and I stayed for almost 15 years. Wow. Started in 2000, and I left in 2014. It'd been about, 14 and a half years, somewhere in there. And we had 60 seats, reservation only. We didn't turn tables. It was 4-course, classic Italian, fine dining menu, everything made in-house. So, we do maybe 45, 50 covers a night, and that was it. And when Matthew opened the local and we'd compare our Saturday nights, and they're doing 350 covers, I'm like, whoa, I couldn't even imagine. And great, we were putting out 5, 6 courses per person.
Right.
So, and in the terms, we were probably putting out similar amount of plates. Well, still less, but whole different world, different pace. A lot of the hoity-toity plating and fine dining, which I love to do, and the specials. And then Adam asked me to help open Junction when he started renovating the building, and it was time for me to leave Palladio. They were due some new blood and new energy, and I was due a new career and a new project. And I was actually a little terrified going into 169-seat restaurant plus outdoor seating during weather, and possibility of doing 300 covers a night, and it's something I hadn't done for 15 years. I worked in San Francisco, and we had those kind of paces, but I was just a measly line cook back then. I wasn't running the kitchen. I've backed myself with a good crew. Pace is a lot different. We're still 2 years in. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary. Still finding our niche and what we want to do. We are pushing real hard right now. We're going to go back into doing a lot more specials. I've got a very stable crew now. Still looking for one line cook. If anybody out there needs a line cook job.
Mel needs one.
But we want to start pushing those specials again now that we're settled. I really had about a year and a half of turmoil of just keeping permanent staff, and it's a problem in Charlottesville. There's so many restaurants and there's so many cooks. But, when there's so many restaurants, I think last summer, 45 days, 18 or 20 restaurants open, something like that.
Yeah.
And so your pool of staff dwindles, and also when new restaurants are opening, dollars get jingled and people walk away, and I get it. I understand. But now that we have a stable crew, we want to start doing more specials. Alec, our bartender, and I are about to do, per your suggestion, we're going to start doing a cocktail and dessert pairing every weekend.
Great.
So look, for this weekend, I'm going to do a Mexican tiramisu, taking both my backgrounds of Italian and south of the border cuisine. So a little tequila instead of Kahlua in there, a little chili spice in the cocoa.
Amazing.
And Alex come up with a great cocktail to pair it with. So we're going to be launching that tomorrow. But and my staff, I want them to get bored and get excited, and they're all coming up with specials. I like my staff to have ownership of what they do. I don't like to be a dictator. It's a lot less work.
Yeah.
But it does. If your staff has ownership, they have pride, they have a reason to be there. It's not just being told what to do and how to do it. And I like my guys to have their freedom. I want them to express themselves. I want them to spread their wings and learn, and I learn from them just as much as they learn from me.
I have heard from so many people that they love working with you. I've heard from so many people that you create a sense of family in the kitchen and even in the front of the house. She does a family dinner. The family meal oftentimes is her trying new things that maybe is going to show its face on the menu, and she's trying it, beta testing it with the staff and getting feedback. We'll thank some folks for watching, and then I'll throw it back to you. Paula Stevenson, she's loving what's happening, and if you guys can like and share the program, that would mean the world to us. James Ellis says you're doing a great job. Josh Jenkins watching right now. Sean Sweeney watching. Tim Ryan, Chris Turner, John Gilmore. Like and share the feed for the positive spotlight on Junction. We're going to get to Lauren's question here about the steak, which we've touched on briefly. Junction is got to be one of the largest seating restaurants in the city of Charlottesville. From what I can tell, you guys are able to do, and I learned this firsthand when we did our rehearsal dinner there at Junction. You guys can seat more than just about any restaurant. I think Wild Wing Cafe probably has you beat, but that's different cuisine.
I think the local has about the same number of seats as we do.
Right, and the local because of that back deck.
Yeah.
Because of the back deck. Junction is huge. You touched on this already. You go from an intimate environment at Barracks to Junction in a brand new restaurant with a new staff and a restaurant.
New cuisine.
New cuisine. And a restaurateur that's like, let's make this happen. We need to make this happen like 2 weeks ago. Let's go. Talk to me about that, Melissa.
It was fun. Like I said, after 15 years, I loved Barbersville. I mean, it was my baby. And I love Luca and Alessandra, the maitre d', and they're still family to me. In fact, at Christmas, my parents were in town. We all went to see everybody. But it was time to do something new, and as my mom says, when I make a change, I make a good change. I went total into the spectrum. Like I was saying earlier, it was a little nerve-wracking, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of issues with the building and the timing. We were going to open in a year. We were going to open a year and a half. We were going to open a year and 9 months. I think it was a little over 2.5 years it took us to get the building going. So I had a lot of time to work with it. At that time, Amber Cohen was my sous chef. She came aboard long before we opened, so we spent a lot of nights after cleaning construction dust and sitting around her house and drinking some wine and writing menus and drawing diagrams and designing kitchens. And so that part was so much fun. I'd never done that part before. And, I had my little graph paper and pieces of equipment that were all cut out so I could move them around and play designer. And when you're given only 278 square feet and you have a dining room that's almost 3,000 square feet, you have to plan accordingly. And So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of new energy. It's something I've enjoyed doing, and it's been a nice change of pace, and I'm happy where I'm at.
You're getting some props on the feed. Stephanie White says, "Nice job, Melissa."
My bestie.
You sound great. You got let's see, Scott Houseworth.
Fellow
saying,
classmate from New England Culinary.
I think he's in Atlanta right now.
He works. I believe he should still be at the Ritz-Carlton.
He's giving you props.
Yep.
He says you sound great. How about the going to a brand new cuisine? I mean, is it every chef's dream to try it new, or is it every chef do chefs want to be, and I know you can't speak for all chefs, but are chefs more preferring to stay in their comfort in their wheelhouse?
I think I'd say both.
Okay.
I think some chefs are going to stay in one lane their whole career. I got an opportunity when I was at Barbersville. I went to Italy every year and staged in 2 restaurants for a week at a time. So in my 15 years there, I think I made 17 or 18 trips to Italy and worked in maybe 17, 20 restaurants. And that's an opportunity that I forever am grateful to Luca and the Zonine family that owned Barbersville for allowing me to have. And, didn't speak the language. Some kitchens I worked in, they spoke not a word of English. And people have always asked me, how do you do it? And I'm like, cooking is cooking. You peel an onion the same in Italy as you do in America. You cut an onion the same. Cuisines are a little bit more complicated than that, but cooking is cooking. And you just do research. And I worked in Italian cuisine. I grew up in it. Coming up in the restaurant business, worked at Bottega in Birmingham, Alabama, which is Frank Stitt, which he's just won the James Beard Best Chef last year, so he was the big winner, and worked at his Italian place, and then worked at Rose Pistola in California, and back to Barbersville. But Southwest and Tex-Mex cuisines, what Matthew and I cook a lot at home, and it's a cuisine that I love to eat. And I did a lot of research in those 2 years that I was between Palladio and Junction, and just learned. And the thing is, we're trying to get, we opened it originally to do kind of Mexican fine dining, learned real quick that wasn't what our clients wanted, and kind of downscaled, made shareable plates, dropped the prices. And then also at that time, I had a lot of cooks that had different backgrounds. We had one cook that lived in Japan. We had one cook that we really liked, another one that liked Korean and Vietnamese style. So we started throwing in these Asian influences. I had my Italian background. So we started, and of course I'm from the Deep South, and I love Southern cuisine. So we started just kind of fusing these things. And that's where I think our direction's going. We even took the modern Mexican off the window after about 6 weeks of being open.
Right.
And just now we're just going to kind of just take what everybody's background is and just put it in there. Have an etouffee on the menu. I love coastal cuisine. It's one of my favorite. Growing up in Mobile, spent a lot of time in New Orleans. So I took your basic etouffee recipe, and instead of green bell peppers in the Trinity, I use poblanos. We use a dried chorizo and the dirty rice. I still have some andouille that I bring in from Louisiana that's in the etouffee. But, just taking those kind of influences, adding some chipotles to it, some ancho, and bam, you've got something that I know that I've cooked all my life, and now it's got a little bit different flair to it. And it's one of our biggest sellers, actually.
You're crushing. And let's give props to the people that are watching. Jacqueline Greiger over at a Barbecue Exchange.
Barbecue Exchange. She worked with me at Palladio for years.
She's watching in Gordonsville right now. Sean Sweeney, which we gave some props to. Yvonne Ham says, you sound amazing.
Thanks.
Yvonne, thank you for tuning in. If you have a question, please put it in the chat box where you're watching. Ray Padrell is watching. One of Greene County's finest, Ray Padrell, thank you for watching. Roxanne Croft. Joe Finazzo, the executive chef and restaurateur behind Sal's Cafe Italia on the downtown mall. Gilly Garth. Ray Cadell is joining us. Lisa Kirkpatrick of the Denise Ramey team is watching us. Thank you, Lisa, for tuning in. I wanted to throw this to you. You guys, I've seen you pivot the model at Junction, and you touched on it already, going from the modern Mexican to now, I don't want to say it's more specials driven, but I feel like it's more driven with what's going on here with you, as opposed to just a set menu. Talk to me about, the need to pivot and the need to listen to customers, and initially going out of the gate with a plan and then changing that plan, and how important it is to any business.
Well, as I touched on a little bit earlier, in Charlottesville, and I don't know if the statistic still applies, outside your large cities, New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, we have more restaurants per capita than any other city in the United States.
In fact, it's more restaurants. Charlottesville has more restaurants per capita than any city in America. This is from Charlottesville Tourism. Any city in America except for San Francisco and New York City. We're number 3.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And I mean, if you don't listen to what your customer wants, you're toast. I mean, that's if we don't have butts in the seats, like we all say, our bills aren't getting paid. And I do this because I love it, but I also do this to please my customer. There's the saying, the customer's always right, is somewhat, there's always exceptions to that rule, of course. But, I mean, if you don't do what your customer wants, you're really not going to bring anybody into your restaurant. And if you stay in that lane, just hard-driven, I want to do this modern Mexican, I want to, go this, Jose Andres kind of route of just doing all these crazy things. And, even he has these restaurants that he's downscaled. He had mini bar, and that's great, and that's wonderful. It's all this crazy stuff. But then he also has these places that are affordable and approachable. And if you start doing things that people can't approach, I mean, you're gonna close your doors quick in a restaurant. A restaurant
as competitive,
town that we have. I mean, there's so many restaurants, and there's so many great restaurants in this town. You don't stick around if you're bad in this town. And so, you got to listen to what your customer says and adapt.
I love it. Paula Stevenson says, I can't wait to come in and try Melissa's food at Junction. Paula Stevenson, Junction is the bomb. Kristen Emma Waters, watching right now in New Jersey, former Charlottesville restaurant. What's up, Kristen Emma Waters? We appreciate you tuning in. Yannick Foyle, the owner of Blue Ridge Pizza Company. Mm-hmm. Thank you
and
for...
Nikki, his wife, good friend of mine from the past.
Yeah, they are a dynamic duo, those two, Yannick and Nikki. Thank you for tuning into the show. Rosemary says, this is absolutely amazing. You're doing so well, Melissa. Jacqueline says, hey, Mel, hey. You used a word called approachability.
Yeah.
And it's so different. Like, I feel like the restaurant scene and this may apply to any city, 10 years ago, maybe more fine dining driven, more like let's go to a restaurant, enjoy the experience. I feel like today it's more about approachability, small plate sharing. It's more about having this relationship with the people. It's a lifestyle. Yeah. Here's what, and it even applies to you from a personal standpoint. Mm-hmm. I follow you closely on social media, and one of your go-tos is Mel's.
Oh my God, on Mel's West is Main. My favorite. I mean, Simon Davidson does, he does his little kind of exposés, and he'd been wanting to do Mel's at Mel's for years.
I loved it.
And finally got me in there. And they're on DoorDash. And let me tell you how happy
I saw that on your social.
Because I don't drive anymore. So it's just great. My hamburger, steak, and gravy, mashed potatoes, and green beans can be brought to my house. It makes me a happy person. They have the best sweet potato pie I've ever put in my mouth.
Why do you think, what is causing the pivot to such approachability? And I don't want to say away from fine dining because I don't want to marginalize the restaurants or knock anybody, but it seems like people are now just more approachable, price point conscious, time conscious. Their time is more valuable now. Maybe it's because with smartphones, we're so used to getting things immediately, and that's kind of seeping into every aspect of our life. I mean, what do you think?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think that's a valid point. I think, too, that, I think fine dining still has its place, but now it's become the anniversary dining. And especially when you're in a town with this many restaurants. And, I mean, I could, granted, Matthew and I are 2 chefs. Everybody thinks we, must create these great meals at home. I think we moved in our house 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I think we probably cooked 2 meals in that house. We work totally different schedules. B, it's cobbler's kids has no shoes kind of concept.
Right.
But with so many restaurants and so many different price points and so many different cuisines and approachabilities, it's so much easier to say, hey, let's just go grab a sandwich. I'm leaving here and going down to the new Marie Betts because, like I said, I don't have a car. So getting on the other side of the town, I'm so excited to go down there and get me some pastries. It's just so much easier in a way. And with things being a little more affordable, I tried to do the grocery store and cook it at home and I actually spent more money.
Right,
because you can almost go out and you get these meals. You get some Thai 99. It's 2 or 3 meals. For all of us. I take it to lunch the next day, and you pay $9.95 for a bowl of noodles and 2 meals. I couldn't cook it at home for $9.95.
And it certainly would take a lot more time.
Yeah. And so I think that's part of it. Even, places I've watched fine dining restaurants starting not to necessarily scale back their cuisine and their talents, but smaller plates, smaller prices, bringing more people in, making it more approachable. You don't have to put a coat and tie on anymore. And, you can still go over to Prime 109 like this and have a great steak.
I wear sandals everywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, you don't have these dress codes anymore. You don't have that hoity-toity, stuffy feeling. So it makes every cuisine and every level of it a lot more approachable. When I was growing up, we went out to dinner on Friday nights, but we went to a really nice place like once a year.
Right.
And now I feel like everybody's like, hey, where are we going this week? What new place is open? What's the vibe? Where are we going?
Right. And you bring up Thai food. Kit Ashy, executive chef and owner of Monsoon, watching the program.
I love Monsoon.
Yeah. She says you sound great.
Thank you.
Kit is good people. We have Jehu Martin, who is one of Belmont's ambassadors, oftentimes at the local filming the live music. Jehu Martin watching the program here. If you guys could do us the favor of liking and sharing the stream, whatever channel you're watching on. This show now being broadcasted across 7 channels on the I Love CVille network. Liking and sharing the channel really helps keep the spotlight on what we're doing. You talk about the approachability. You talk about Junction embodying these qualities, and it absolutely does. I think Junction almost has like 3 different demos to it. It has Alec is such a talented mixologist.
I think the best in town.
Yeah. I think it's Alec and Micah Lemon. That are the two guys that are doing
across
really.
the street over at Tavola, Steven.
Yeah. So. Okay, that's another. They're doing really. Yeah, the Chichiti bar. Yeah, they're doing really creative things. So people are coming in to see Alec and what Alec is doing. People are coming in for your food because your food speaks for itself. Your reputation speaks for itself. The other vibe I'm seeing with Junction is because Adam and did such a good job with planning the building. It caters to people just, especially when the weather's nice, just chilling. Like going on the deck, and I see Michelle doing this. Michelle would often do this with her dog, and just chill, have a cocktail, and relax. Put that in perspective.
I mean, we just had, I think it was either Friday or Saturday night, we had a woman from a Coming Out CVille group.
Yeah.
She came in, she's like, I think a few of us are going to come in and have drinks, and by the end of an hour, there were 40 people from their organization. We turned that whole front section under the skulls into kind of a little cocktail area, and she kept apologizing. I'm sorry, we're taking up your dining space on a Friday night, and we're like,
well, this is a restaurant.
I know, this is what we do. Thank you. I mean, it was just awesome to just, a drop of the hat, have 40 people just coming in for cocktails and hanging out. And we have a group from Glass House that comes in every Wednesday now, and they take over the corner of the bar and hang out with Alec, and he gets to throw new specials at them, and I send them out snacks, and it's just, we've been here long enough. We're starting to get those regulars. That's what we're such a family as the staff, but now that we have family customers too, and that's what I've always strove for in my restaurants. Palladio, I have customers that were my regulars from day one. Jessica Pura's parents actually were one of the first customers in Palladio before I even ate there or worked there. I think they were the first or second customers that sat down in the restaurant. They came every Sunday and became great friends of ours. They hang out with Chef Michel that started New England Culinary Institute that lives here now. They kind of adopted him, and they come in all the time, and Jessica works for us now. So I mean, it's just there's
great.
So many connections around that all stemmed from customers or employees. And like you said earlier, I like it to be a family. I grew up in the Deep South. We're all about family. We're all about hugs and caring for people, and that just extends to the people. I mean, I spend more time with the people I work with than I do my real family.
Right,
so
right.
I better like them.
Right. Well, and frankly, at this point, if you don't like them, you can, and maybe you have. Maybe we're not going to say any names.
Yeah, there might have been one or two that have left on their own or not on their own.
Right.
But, I mean, that's the nature of any business.
Yeah, that's any business. Terry Cadell, thank you for watching. Catherine Lecker, thank you for watching. Jenna Bear-Hart.
That's my sister-in-law. That's Maddie's brother's wife.
She says, yay, Melissa.
Yeah.
Okay, so is she watching in Cali?
She's in Richmond.
Okay, in Richmond. Okay, gotcha. If you have a question, comment for Melissa, I'm happy to pass it along to her. I get all the questions aggregated in one spot. Whatever stream you're watching, if you could like and share the stream, that would mean the world to us. How about how Belmont, the neighborhood, has rallied around the restaurant? Junction, owned by Adam Frazier, who lives on Grave Street in Belmont. He also is the restaurateur and owner behind The Local, and at one time, was it Smoked?
The local smokehouse.
The local smokehouse, the barbecue joint there. So he has Belmont in his blood.
Yeah, he's lived on Grave Street. I met him.
I remember when he moved in.
Yeah.
I was living on Little Graves when I saw him moved in, and he was young, had the dog, and it was just him and the dog, and he's remodeling his entire home on Graves.
Oh, I just saw the remodel. He just built a 4-story extension on the back of his house, dug out a basement in the back on the bottom floor for his kids. They have a playroom down there, has a batting cage in the backyard. Second level, his wife got a new sitting room and bigger kitchen, and then the master bedroom on the 3rd floor, and then they have a rooftop little patio barbecue up top, and you can overlook all of downtown Charlottesville from up there. Beautiful extension to his house.
And, give him props because he's doing well. And
doing really well.
He's a successful guy. His wife, I believe, a doctor.
She does special needs pediatrician
Right,
work.
right. And they have the opportunity to live pretty much anywhere they want,
Yep.
Which I think is safe to say. But they've chosen to keep their home in Belmont and expand as their families expanded. And where I'm going with this is the guy is committed to the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I'm curious of how you've seen the neighborhood respond to that commitment.
Well, you always, in Belmont, when I first moved here in 2000, I think Moss wasn't even there. It was a barbecue place that had gone out of business. It was a neighborhood you didn't go to. I mean, you didn't.
It was sketch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And, Tomas moved in and opened up Moss, and that kind of started it, and it just slowly grew. And you're going to get pushback. You have people that have lived there for 30, 40 years, and all of a sudden there's traffic, and there's sounds, and there's music, and there's people, and I get it. And we got some pushback when Adam started renovating and looked like he was going to open another restaurant. But in all reality, Adam wasn't even planning on opening a restaurant. That building went up for sale. It was condemnable.
Right.
I mean, he is all his life. He did some construction, I believe, back in his earlier years, and he's always strived to keep neighborhoods the way they should be. And he actually, I think, bought the building. I could be completely speaking out of turn here, but I believe he really bought the building because he was afraid a contractor was going to come in and just tear the whole building down, build some crappy little...
Yeah, something that did fit the character of the neighborhood.
And he sat on it for a year or so, even just trying to decide what he wanted to do, and started renovating it. We, pulled all the rafters out, had to reinforce the building. He kept all the original bricks. That building was built... The main part where the bar was, late 1800s. The addition where the Pepsi room is early 1900s. I mean, he went so far as to bring in old drippy glass to put in the windows, and kept the old windows. Where, he mentioned to me one day, he's like, I could have put top-notch pillows in here for the price I did, but he wanted to keep the feeling of that building. All the wood in that building comes from the same era as the building. He worked hard. The flooring, I believe, came from an old grocery store in North Carolina. Had it shipped up and hand hammered with the real old hand hammered nails.
Right.
No nail guns used. Everything is as authentic as it could be from the turn of the century, and that takes a lot of love and pride. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And we put a parking lot in to try to help the parking dilemma in Belmont, and we got some pushback for that because we had to cut down some trees. And I get it, they're 100-year-old ashes, but every one of those tables in that restaurant
repurposed
from the ash trees, and we take all that into consideration. I think a lot of people have that visceral feeling, oh my God, there's another restaurant coming. There's this, they tore down these beautiful trees, but he strives so hard and does it so under the radar and doesn't toot his own horn at all about any of this. And he wants it to be as comfortable for the neighborhood as possible. We went the extra mile with some of these things to try to accommodate future problems we might have. And I think the neighborhood, in retrospect, I think they've come around and they love it. And of course, the newer generations of Belmont love it.
Right, of
they
course.
They love all of
right.
From
it's the old guard.
From Lampo to Beer Run. that everybody's real happy with what's happening there. And it's great to be part of it. I think Belmont's a great neighborhood, and I think everybody in Belmont tries to take in consideration the old neighbors and the historic value of Belmont. And they, without even being forced to keep things historical, like a lot of historical societies, I think a lot of people do it just because they love them.
Because they have pride in the neighborhood. Yeah. You're getting a lot of props here. A lot of questions coming in. Mike Yeager's got a question for you.
Hi, Mikey.
We'll get to Mike Yeager's question here shortly. Patty Bowden, the owner of Animal Connection, says, I absolutely am in love with Junction and Melissa's food. Thank you, Patty, for leaving that comment. We got a question about steak seasoning that I'm not going to forget here, Lauren. You're a popular gal. A lot of people watching right now. Marcus Smith says, what up, Melissa?
I worked with him at Barbersville.
Yeah, so, okay, let's go to Mike Yeager's question. Ask Melissa, Jerry, about her pasta machine-like fingers. What does he mean, pasta machine-like fingers? Mike Yeager's question.
Well, if you notice, these two fingers grow a little crooked.
Okay.
Worst kitchen accident I've definitely done on myself, and probably the second I've actually witnessed, the first being a slicer accident years ago. I was making ravioli Valentinos at Barbersville, and that's it's a one giant ravioli with a spinach ricotta filling and an egg yolk dropped in there. So when you boil it, you crack into it. It's like a soft boiled egg. And I happened to drop an egg yolk in between the rollers of the pasta machine. So I thought, I'll just clean it real quick. Turned on the machine, wet rag. Well, dum here, rag went through like a sheet of pasta, pulling my fingers through. And if you know the Imperia tabletop electric machines, they probably weigh about 30 pounds, if I had to guess. I pretty much lifted the machine up, still attached to my fingers.
Get out.
Your fingernails actually start growing from about down here.
Yeah.
I ripped them out. They were still attached at the tip and standing straight up. Shattered both bones and the fingertip. Was out of work for a week or two. Tried to come back. I think I was probably out a total of 3 weeks. Yeah, it was no fun. I went to the UVA. Luca drives me to UVA from Barbersville, which is 35, 40-minute drive.
Right.
He's trying to laugh up with me and tell these anecdotes, and I was just in shock the whole time, I'm pretty sure. But finally we get into the emergency room, and we're sitting there. There were 2 life flights got called in. Pegasus got called in. There was bad wreck. So, of course, I'm not priority.
Sure.
But I'm still sitting there, and there's one couple sitting right across from us, and they kept looking down at something, looking at me and Luca and looking down. And they were like, finally held up our newsletter that had just come out from Barbersville, and they were like, is this you guys? So it was a picture of me and Luca in our new newsletter. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And finally get back to see the doctor, and he stitches my fingers up, does all this work to it, and he redoes it. He takes it all apart and redoes it. And I'm like, man, I'm a cook. I mean, look at my arms.
Right.
This is what my mother does to me when she first sees me, see what injuries I have. I'm like, I don't really care what it looks like. And he was like, well, you got lucky today. The plastic surgeon on call in the emergency room, I'm a hand specialist, so this is my job. And I was like, okay. One fingernail still grows a little crooked, but it's all right. They function.
You look good.
Yeah.
You look good. Jacqueline is getting a chuckle out of this story. Jacqueline is laughing right now.
There used to actually be a picture of my fingers all stitched up that we had taped to the pasta machine, and Jeremy Butterfield, who worked out there at the time and now works for Cisco, had written Saw 2. So it looked like an advertisement for a Saw movie. And that was taped on the pasta machine for years.
Okay, we got another one, another coming in. In fact, we got a comment on your story. Greg Ingber says, when pasta machines attack, they go after Melissa Close-Hart. Greg, thank you for leaving that comment. Like and share the stream if you can, whatever channel you're watching. Let's get to the question from Twitter. Chef, I love your cooking. Can you help me? My steak is always bland. Salt and pepper doesn't cut it. How can I improve my steak so it doesn't taste so bland?
Well, there's a couple things. I was actually going to start off when you kind of just vaguely mentioned the comment. A lot of times I just use salt and pepper.
So you're a better cook than her is what you're saying?
No, not at all. A lot of it is the quality of the steak. We definitely have a lot of local beef providers in this area. JM Stock. I get great meat at Reed's too.
Reed's is great.
And their prices are just rocking.
Yeah.
But, a lot of it's just getting the right quality of meat and getting the right sear on it, having a hot enough, whether it's a cast iron skillet or a grill. But our secret at Barbersville, or at Junction, and I'll tell you a way to get it, too. I make my own proprietary spice mix that I lovingly call Cowgirl Mix.
Cool.
And I gave the recipe to Phyllis over at Spice Diva.
Yeah.
So you can walk in there and ask them for the Junction spice, a little mixed vegetable oil. Don't use your good olive oil, guys, when you're cooking. All that volatile, what you pay for the money there goes up in the heat. use a blended oil, little salt, little cowgirl spice, put it in a nice hot skillet, sear it for 3 or 4 minutes on each side for rare, a little longer for mid-rare. There you go.
There you go. So 2 tips right there. Why don't we cut that into a sizzle reel? Right there, of how to make a Melissa Close-Hart steak one of the best in the country, is what we're going to call that right there. I'm going to call it that. Your food is so good. Your food is so good. Talk to me about some of the restaurants you like to. And I know you've said that you have barely any time to go. But how about this? A better question. Some of the people in the chef game in Charlottesville and Central Virginia that you admire. We know Craig Hartman is near and dear.
Yep, Craig. Like I said, I mean, my father allows me to call him my second dad. So
okay. Who do you admire? Who do you look up to? Who is doing some amazing things as well?
Oh, you know, there's so many great people. I mean, Curtis is a dear friend of mine from Hamilton's and Peloton.
He's watching now.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Curtis.
Hello, Curtis.
What's up,
Groomsman
Dirty?
in my wedding. Good people.
You know, the guys at Lampo and Prime 109 are killing it. I mean, there's just really not anybody in this town that, I mean, like I said earlier, you know, if you don't do a good job here, you don't stick around long. I mean, everything from the guys over at Bodo's making great bagels, the guys over at Mary Bet, you know, all the women in town. There's so many of us. Laura killing it out at Dooner's. You got the waffle place, the Poffles over there, and
Catherine.
Yep, Catherine's great. You know, I mean, it's just all the way up to, you know, over here at Splendora's, great ice cream. You know, we just have great food here. I mean, there's not really anybody I don't admire that's in this business, to be honest.
That was kind of a safe answer.
It is a safe answer.
Because they're her friends.
They are. I mean, we are, you know, I always call the restaurant business an incestual family. So many of these people I've worked with that are watching. And sometimes I forget who worked with who. You know, I actually, when I was at Palladio, I kept interns in the kitchen. And I went to New England Culinary Institute in Vermont. And like I said earlier, Chef Michel, who founded that, actually lives in Charlottesville now. But he's moving back to France. We're sad. Throwing his Bon Voyage party in a couple weeks. But, you know, there's so many Necky grads here. Rachel Greenberg from Cakes by Rachel. I mean, I can list all of them. There's probably 40 Necky grads in town. And so when I have these interns, I always think the interns work with Jacqueline and Mikey. And, you know, I can never remember who worked with who. And we just switch. You know, we've all worked with each other some form or fashion, whether it was in a restaurant or doing a fundraiser or doing a festival or something. And we are like an incestual, dysfunctional family.
Especially in a market the size of Charlottesville, where it's so intimate and so small. 50,000 person market. You're getting a lot of props here. Emily Holter from the local.
Local catering.
Local catering. She say, you guys are great. Love you, Mel. Emily, thank you for tuning in. We love you as well. She says you're looking good. Casey Cunningham.
Another good friend. He worked for Craig Hartman at Statler's when he worked with Curtis.
Okay, and he says, I will never, ever, ever forget the picture of the pasta machine fingers. Melissa Close-Hart, I absolutely love you.
I love Casey, too. He's great.
From Casey Cunningham. Like and share the stream. If you have a question, I'm happy to relay it over to Melissa. Anything goes. You talk a little bit about how, like, everybody knows everybody in the Charlottesville culinary scene. Certainly very much applies to you when your husband, Matty, is the executive chef at the local. I mean, you can't know someone better than your husband at the street right across the way.
Yep. Great to also have a sister restaurant across the street when you run out of something.
A sister restaurant across the street, and your husband works there.
Yep.
And a lot of times, and I don't want to speak for her, a lot of times, this is when she's seeing her husband in passing, whether it's across the street or walking into the local or him coming into Junction.
Yep. He works more days than I do. And so
you guys are opposite schedules. Right?
Yep. He works, he kind of goes in and does a lot of the prep work and administrative stuff during the days. And his sous chefs run it at night. And then he's usually at work by 8:30. I'm usually still in bed.
Right.
I leave and go to work at noon. I close, so I get home 10 or 11 at night. He's half the time in bed. So, you know, ship's passing, but we do see each other many times during the day.
Of course.
I'm over at the local or he's over at Junction. And
I'm a huge Matty fan. Matty's good people. I've gotten to know him more through this forum, and just a great, talented chef. My wife swears by the mushroom dish that's been on the local menu for so long.
Yeah, the truffle mushroom.
The truffle mushroom. She calls it one of the best dishes in Charlottesville.
Yeah, they use Mona Lisa pasta and
good ingredients.
Yeah, they used to make their own pasta. You know, you get to a point like, you know, especially when I opened Junction, going from a small scale restaurant where we literally made everything. You know, we'd make our own mozzarella, we made our own pastas, of course, all the sauces and everything made in house. And you have these wild dreams that you're going to do that, and you go to a kitchen that's still only 3 or 4 cooks. Like I had 3 or 4 cooks for 40 tables or 40 people, and now I got 3 or 4 cooks for 200 people. And so, you know, I was going to make my own chorizo. We were going to make our own bread for the Cuban. We were going to do all this stuff, and you have to learn where to source out. You know, now I use, you know, Double H Farms chorizo instead of making my own, and different concepts like that. And the same thing with Maddie. You know, they used to make their own pasta, and it got to the point where the pasta machine actually broke, and they started looking at it that it was just, you know, Jim just does such a great job over at Mona Lisa
It's
Pasta.
so good. Yeah.
And so they just sourced it out. And, you know, you're still using a local product, but, you know. But the mushroom ragu they make themselves, it's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yep, they use local mushrooms and cook it down with some white wine and some cream and some truffles, and can't go wrong.
Richard Crowther Sr., is that your dad?
That's my dad.
He says, the greatest chef ever from Mom and Dad. You're doing great, Mel. Okay. Hannah Rose Dubit, who dates Dylan Allwood, the executive chef at Tavola. She, I believe, is at Barbecue Exchange. Thank you for watching. Hannah Rose, we appreciate you and the support. If you guys can like and share the stream, that would mean the world to us. Kathy Rubley Hart.
That's my mother-in-law.
Okay, she says, you sound fantastic. Man, we're going to everywhere. You're a like person. And I know why you're well liked. It's because you're just a cool cat. How about, where I was going to go with the Maddie question was, the local is undoubtedly one of the most successful restaurants in Charlottesville, in Central Virginia. I mean, this restaurant is doing it right. I mean, when the executive chef of the restaurant is able to go from a day's standpoint and have other chefs working nights, that shows you the restaurant is crushing it. And Maddie is a fabulously talented chef. The catering at the local is just going gangbusters. It's to the point where Adam has had to expand the restaurant numerous times, even buying the Jean's Beauty Salon building next door to preserve the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood, but to also offer an intimate dining experience for private parties right next door, because he didn't have the space in the dining room itself because it was so popular. Where I'm going with this is, you're competitive. I know Maddie's competitive.
Oh, God. More so than
Maddie's
anyone
like one of the most alpha competitive people in the world, and I've seen it firsthand. There's a story for another day. Where I'm going with this is, do you guys ever say, like, hey, we did more covers than you tonight? No. I did more, or is it really a team?
You know, I mean, the local's probably always going to do more covers than us. And
why do you think that is?
Well, you know, lightning strikes hopefully twice. You know, maybe we'll get there. But, you know, Adam, it was the perfect storm when they opened the local. It was right when the economy started to turn downward. Adam had opened this place. He'd spent years working on it himself, got it opened up. Him and Maddie have known each other for, 20 years or more. They talked, we ought to open a restaurant for years and years and years, and finally got around to doing it. And, you know, the concept was kind of Maddie's. The building was Adam's. It was right at the first push of local farms and local food movement. And the name is actually twofold. A lot of people think it's all just for the local food, but Adam's kind of concept from it was, you know, when you're in England, you go to your local. And that's your pub that's on the corner. And you stop by for a sandwich and a beer, and you go in 2, 3, or 4 times a week. So that part of the concept is he wanted it to be a place that was affordable enough where you'd pop in for a pint on your way home from work, or come in on Saturday night with friends. And he wanted it to be the local, like your local place to go. And Maddie took the concept one step further and brought in all the local farmers and did that concept of it. Great price point. I mean, I think when they first opened, they just celebrated their 10th year.
Really?
Yep.
Amazing.
And when they first opened, I don't think there was an entree other than specials that was over $15 or $16. But you go down here on the downtown mall, and your appetizers are $15. And, you know, that was Adam's point, was he wanted to make it a place where you could come in, and the portions are huge.
Yeah.
Because, we all know Adam. You know,
yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy.
And Maddie had come from a fine dining background with C&O and all that. And, you know, we're dainty little plates, 4 ounces of protein, some vegetables, and pretty little garnish. And Adam's like, bigger, bigger, bigger. And you go in there, and, you know, your steak's 14 to 16 ounces, and you're still paying a really reasonable price. I got the small gnocchi when I took my parents there at Christmas. I ate on it for 3 days. Granted, I eat small portions.
Right. You don't eat a lot.
And, you know, I nibble.
Right.
I don't eat meals very much.
You snack.
I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just such a value. And I think that was, at the time when the economy was going down and people were used to going out to eat all the time. And you come down to the downtown mall, now that our son's a teenager, we can't go to any restaurant in the downtown mall without dropping a pretty penny.
Yeah, it's like a C note at least.
Yeah. And it's, God forbid if you have cocktails. And I mean, granted, it's worth paying for.
Sure. You're not knocking them.
Anything.
Yeah.
But I think that the concept they opened where it was just so affordable, portions were great, and that just got everybody through the door. And then they learned how great Maddie's food was, how great Adam's concept was, the family of the front of the house, and just got it rolling. And now they just can't stop.
I think what the local has done really, really well, and people are giving you props here. Let's give props to the people that are giving you props. Nancy Payne McCarthy says,
they're Dr. Hose.
You sound amazing. Evidently, we have a fire right outside our studio here on Market Street, if you can hear the sirens. Sam Barnett says, you changed my Brussels sprouts forever, and I will be growing heritage carrots this year because of you. I owe you some... Canuccio? What's that word?
Kaneka.
I don't know what that is.
Kaneka
I'll be back
sausage,
in March. Is that what it is?
We can talk about that in a minute. That's a whole pride of mine there.
Talk to me about it now.
Kaneka County is a county in Alabama.
Okay.
And they are famous for their sausage. If you go down I-65 from Montgomery to Mobile, tiny little, I think the town's 3,000 people, but they put their production place right on the interstate. So I mean, once you get about 3 exits out of Montgomery going south, all you smell is smoked sausage. Best sausage in the world. There is no doubt in my mind. They make the best sausage. And I've made some converts here in Charlottesville. My mom and dad brought me a little Yeti cooler at Mother's Day, filled with probably 8 or 10 pounds of it. Actually, Emily Holter she has Alabama connections. Went home for Christmas and brought me a pound back, and I actually shared with everybody at work. So that shows you how much I love them, because it was only 1 pack. But it's just great. And I mean, it's become a phenomenon. If you do some research, I think Southern Living and Garden and Gun just did articles on them. I have a friend that I thought he was being paid by Kaneka, because if you look on his social media, it's all he ever talks about. And he actually is in Mardi Gras parades. He's in Mardi Gras societies in Mobile. Home of Mardi Gras, by the way, everyone. Not New Orleans.
Okay.
And he actually throws Kaneka sausage from his floats instead of moon pies.
That's awesome. I would love to catch some sausage from a float there.
Exactly.
Instead of moon pies. Your friend, Jennifer Neshia McGinney?
College friend.
Yeah,
college
she says,
roommate.
I miss you big time, Melissa.
I miss you too, Jennifer.
So if you have a question, comment, pass it along to us. Corbin Snow of Snow's Garden Center. Snow knows, the owner and CEO, watching the program from his office. Thank you, Corbin, for tuning in. If you can like and share the stream, that would mean the world to us. Kathy says you're just doing great right now. Kathy Hart.
Hart. Yep.
So people really responding well. This is what I was going to go with the local. Adam and Maddie and the team have done such a phenomenal job of bridging and creating this like hybrid of like almost not quite fine dining, but with approachability, meshing it well.
I think a lot of people in Charlottesville are getting really successful at that.
Yeah, and they have to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the days of in a lot of ways, I want like a paper towel and not a cloth napkin. You know what I'm saying? If I can, that puts it in perspective. Yeah. I just love the hybrid there, and I'm seeing a similar hybrid with Junction, where like the small plates are in vogue, the sharing, the cocktails, the trying new things, even if it's a little bit of bite.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting of how diners' choices and taste buds and their palates change. How your experience, you know a lot more about this than I do. What are you seeing the change? How often are these changes happening? What drives these changes?
Well, I mean, the market.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like we were talking about earlier. If you don't listen to your customer, you're not going to be around very long. And I think it's not anything that's a drastic change. I think it's stuff that happens gradually. And you work for one restaurant and you get a chance to go be the chef de cuisine at another restaurant. So you have this idea in your head and you just change something slightly. And then one of your cooks comes up and comes behind you and does it again at another restaurant. And it just morphs. And I mean, I think, of course you have all the big cities and, you get trends that get sent down and you got social media does it a lot now. You got every magazine now, is online. I like Garden and Gun and Southern Living and those kind of things, and Eater from New York, and all the eaters from all the cities. Eater.com is a great
I love Eater.
place. And you kind of see trends and you get ideas. We're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, you're creating new dishes and new concepts in a way, but it's just a riff on somebody else's idea all the way down from the very beginning. And you just take ideas that you like. And, I'm the first one to go to Google and all recipes and epicurious.com if I'm looking for a new recipe, or go sit in Barnes & Noble's in the cookbook section, and you just flip. And you're not I will never take anybody's recipes straight out. But I make it my own, and you get inspiration from it, and you make a little change to it, and then somebody might take my recipe and take a little change to it, and then 2 years from now, that recipe's completely changed.
Do you take it as a compliment? Do you ever is it ever like this plagiarism or a ripoff?
No.
Or you just take it as like a personal compliment?
I love it. I mean,
flattery or imitation is the first form of flattery.
I mean, if anybody if they ask for a recipe, all my recipes are typed up just so we have consistency, and all my cooks know how to do everything. If you need a recipe, I go right upstairs, print it.
That's awesome.
And give it right to you. I mean, it's not my...
Not all chefs are like that.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's not my intellectual property. I mean, it's food. It's like music. I mean, it's meant to be shared. I mean, why else cook? I mean, you're feeding people's bellies and their souls. And I mean, why not share it?
That was legit. That was so deep right there, Harris. Let's highlight reel that. Sizzle reel that, baby. Keith Smith, thank you for watching. We've already filled an hour. Can we go a little bit longer?
Oh, we already an hour?
Yeah,
I was worried I didn't have enough to talk
easy.
about. My mother did say, I'm sure she's watching too, I was a late talker.
What does that mean?
When I was, learning to talk,
okay.
I didn't talk. My brother was an early talker, so I was the second child. And I guess
you're easy to talk with. You're a pleasant conversationalist.
Well, my mother said my dad came home from work and she was in the rocking chair just bawling. And Dad's like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I think something's wrong with our daughter. She hasn't talked yet. Something's got to be wrong with her." She said it was within a week I started talking in full sentences and never shut the hell up. She's like, maybe I should have been careful what I wished for.
Well, and your mom is also especially proud of this, I would think, because you and I share many things in common. One of the things we share in common is our use of four-letter words, especially the F word. And so far, no F-bombs.
Yeah, I've been very conscientious of it. That's where I've stumbled a few times.
I was hoping we would get some F-bombs on the front. You're doing a great job.
My husband's worse than I am.
Oh, he's dropped some F-bombs on air. I don't mind it at all. I mean, that's who we are. It's such a dynamic word. This question coming in from John Gilmore via Twitter.
Okay.
And thank you for watching us on Twitter. And Jessica, we will get to some new questions coming in on the Junction page. This one from Twitter, James Beard. How much does this award mean to you, Melissa, from John Gilmore, who's in Gordonsville right now?
Well, the first time I got nominated, I didn't even know I'd been nominated. The actual process for it, which I kind of almost feel like the semifinalist is a little more to my heart, because to become a semifinalist is actually public. Like they go out, I think it goes live in maybe late October, early November. You can nominate anybody. And you go online and you nominate people, and if you get enough votes, you're top 10. And to me, that's just like, we never promoted it. Luca didn't even know anything about it. It just was a natural, very organic thing. And I got a call from one of my old professors and chef instructors at culinary school. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're James Beard semifinalist." I'm like, "What the hell? I had no idea." And then years after that, we would kind of promote it. Hey, James Beard voting, get out and vote. And, a little self-promotion never hurts. But that first year, it meant so much to me that my clientele, my public, meant the world to me, that I was top 10 chefs in Mid-Atlantic. Mid-Atlantic is...
It's big time.
Virginia, Maryland, D.C. I can't remember all of them. But, it's a wide spread for the Mid-Atlantic. And to be included in all those chefs in D.C., to be top 10, I mean, it meant the world to me. And... sure, I'd love to go to New York and dress up in a fancy dress.
And what happens if you cook in the James Beard house? What happens?
Well, you have to be invited to cook at the James Beard house.
Okay.
And you have to have cooked at the James Beard house to be nominated for an award. I first cooked at the James Beard house under Craig when we worked at the Cliff House in Colorado, Manitou Springs, right outside Colorado Springs. And awesome. I mean, it's just so incredible to be in that house and know that you've been in a house. It's just amazing. I mean, you're in a kitchen that so many chefs that you've admired and read about have cooked in, and you're using the same pans and the spoons, and the wait staff's always, the maitre d's the same. They remember who you are. And I think I went back through Palladio maybe 5 or 6 times and cooked. In fact, and it's not cheap. I mean, you pay for it because it's a nonprofit, and it takes a lot of money to get you and your staff up there and bring the food and cook the food and put yourself up in Manhattan. And Luca, my going away hoorah, 2 weeks before my end of Palladio, I got to cook at James Beard House, and then they actually recreated the dinner for my going away luncheon. So it meant a lot to me.
Let's sizzle reel that. James Beard for Melissa. You got a lot of questions coming in.
Okay.
Mike Yeager says, first, thanks. What a great story. She's definitely one of the best chefs I've worked for. She's got some fantastic stories. She's a super talented chef. That's from Mike Yeager. I got to go
truffle hunting in Umbria with Michael Yeager.
And here's another one. This is from Greg Ingber. I have to take Melissa up on that offer, the pickled jalapeno relish. Her stuff is addictive. Thank you for leaving that comment. Jessica says, well, first, Jessica, I'm going to get to your question first. Let me get to our Sean Thomas's question. Sean, bartender at Miller's in Peloton Station.
Known him for 20 years or so.
He's good people.
Yep.
Recently a father. Sean Thomas says, that sneaky goat of yours. What does Sean mean by that right there?
Well, yesterday I'm flipping through Facebook on a little break, and I see a picture of Sean. He's like, walking through Charlottesville, typical Charlottesville, walking through town, and you see a goat on the front porch. And I was like, damn, that looks like my goat. I'm like, where were you? He's like, River Road. I was like, damn, Sir William got out again. And I was like, oh, no.
Do your goats jump the fence?
Yeah, we're probably going to have to take them. We adopted our goats from Gail from Caramount Farms.
Right.
Last kidding season. She gets rid of all her boys. And I'm going to miss them because we have a 1/4-acre yard, and we didn't mow it once last summer. So now we're going to have to start mowing our grass. But they're just too big now, and they're getting out of the yard. And the neighbors don't like that because they have a very manicured yard with lots of flowers. And Aunt Man doesn't get out, but Sir William, he totally gets out, and he's over there eating their flowers every day.
Your goat names are Sir William and Ant Man?
Gail named Ant-Man because when he was a little tiny kid, he would jump around like a little ant. And I believe, if I got this right, Sir William's original name was Micah.
Micah.
And I told Maddie if we were adopting goats, I really wanted to name him Billy. And I know that's silly, and I'm sure there's a million Billy goats out there.
I love that,
So we
Melissa.
compromised, and he's like, why don't we name it William? I'm like, well, if it's going to be William, it's got to be Sir William. So, and he's a very beautiful goat. I'm going to miss them, but I believe they're going to move out to the back pasture out at Caramount, and we'll be able to go visit them. But they've gotten to the age now, and they really do, now that there's no grass, they do find everything in the world to eat.
Yeah.
And, our patio's getting eaten. My screened-in porch has been taken over. They learned how to use the doggy door to get on the screened-in porch.
Get out of town. Yeah. So they're smart?
Oh, they're really smart. And they're loving. I mean, you can't imagine the love from a goat. It is like take your most loving dog and times it by 10.
Really?
Oh, my
I had
God.
no idea.
They love humans. Love humans. I can just walk up to the door and Ant-Man's like coming to see me? Coming to see me? Oh, they love it.
And is that going to be tough for you?
It will be.
Because, I mean, you love animals.
I do.
Yeah, and she, like us, and, it's a sad topic. She, like me, had one pass recently.
I lost a cat recently. I actually, I adopted, I was trying to figure out how old she was. I believe in about 2002, 2003.
Wow, long time. 16 years.
Yep, she was 16 years old. Actually, Barbara Frost, that used to be a bartender at Rapture, that I knew from way back in the day, she worked out at Crozet Vet and knew I was looking for a cat. And these cats, I believe, were found on the downtown mall. A couple weeks old, had been abandoned by the mom. They adopted them. I bottle fed this cat. She was a bitch. She hated everything in the world. She loved me and my mother, and that was about it. But 16 years of my life for that cat. It's tough, and I believe she just died. She was very agile. She lived a great life. She would go on walkabouts, and when she was little, I wouldn't mind. She was indoor, and for outdoor cat to live that long is pretty incredible.
Incredible, yeah.
And when she was younger, going 3 or 4 days and not seeing her didn't bother me. But I mean, when she got older, after about day 4, I'd be like, is she coming home? Always came home. But once we moved into this house, she didn't go outside much. She laid around a lot and slept a lot, and But Matthew came downstairs. He's like, I think Abigail just passed, and she had just passed away. The big loss was a couple of years ago when I lost my Tater dog. I mean, I've had pets my whole life, and I've loved every single one of them. Tater was my soulmate, and but she laid down with me to take a nap and woke up, and she had passed. So, I mean, if I could lay down under a comfy comforter with my husband curled up and pass away.
Best way to go.
Best way to go. Getting teary. I love that dog, and it was tough, but, she's out there. She's running around with all my other doggies and cats.
Yeah, she's having fun
Yep.
in her best form right now and having eaten, what was the name of that sausage?
Kaneka.
Eating Kaneka sausage.
Yeah,
right.
if Sam brings me some Kaneka from Alabama, I'll bring you some unless she takes it. Best snap in a sausage you'll ever see.
I would love to. Jessica says, speaking of ideas and riffs on other recipes, ask Melissa about her Mexican street corn. The Mexican street corn, guys, if you have not had Melissa's Mexican street corn, go to Junction tonight, tomorrow, or this weekend. In fact, I would love to see Junction be like standing room only and get ridiculously overbooked.
Me too.
So we see Melissa.
Come during the week, guys. Come during the week.
How about the Mexican street corn? It's so good.
Goes back to the cowgirl spice I make, but we use it a lot. I've always loved Mexican street corn. I've had, different versions of it, fried versions, grilled versions, charred versions. And I just kind of took everything I liked about, I tell you who does, El Carbon's got a really good one. Oh, God, their chicken out there is great. And I just kind of took the concept of everyone I liked and just kind of amplified it. And, I take the corn, we take fresh corn, shuck it every day, coat it in the cowgirl spice, char it under the salamander. And then we make our own Mexican street corn sauce, which is, mayonnaise, and use Duke's. I'm a Duke's girl. Little queso fresco, some more, lime juice, cilantro, more cowgirl, and then top it with fresco. It's actually very simple, but just all goes together so well. I eat it all the time.
Sam's got another message for you. He says, what's the name of the sausage again?
Kaneka.
Kaneka is coming at the end of the March. I'll bring the new no additive green label as well as some original. I can't wait to see you, Mel, at the end of the March.
Nice.
Roger Crawdaddy Crawford is watching. Thank you for watching from NBC 29. We love you, Roger. Shantina Hash, one-time executive chef at Tin Whistle, watching the show, as is Gail Wardell Kahn. She's watching the show. If you have a question, comment, anything you'd like me to relay to Melissa, I'm happy to do it. Just leave it in the chat box that you're watching the show on. Amanda Kathleen has joined, and she's watching, and she says we sound great. A lot of people have shared it on the Junction page. Terry Cadell, Jessica, Ray, thank you for sharing this stream and the show. We appreciate the support. I got a question coming in here from Twitter, and on Twitter they want to know, what dish are you most proud of on the Junction menu?
I think the etouffee.
Yeah, why?
It's just, that hits home to me. I mean, that's the cuisine that I think if I ever opened up my own place, I would go. You get a lot of Delmarva and Low Country and stuff like that, but there's not any coastal. We've got Crescent across the street, but they're real limited hours and fairly limited menu. They do a great job. But there's not a lot of, Gulf Coast cuisine. I mean, there's a lot of food that came out of Mobile. Oysters, Bienville, Cobb salad comes from that region.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, there's a lot of dishes that I grew up with that you just don't see. We have a lot of crawfish boils and things like that. And that's what I would love to do. So I think the etouffee, in fact, I got to make it the other day. I have a staff that does everything great, and they replicate things perfectly. And I got to make the etouffee yesterday or the day before, and it was a lot of fun. It's just the food I grew up on. So anything that hits home, that's what I like about the hamburger steak at Mel's. That's
comfort food.
Comfort food. I'm all about the comfort food.
Me too. Chris Turner, thank you for watching. John Gilmer, thank you for watching. Meg Taylor, Dan Barnes, Jonathan Galasso, thank you for watching. Another question coming in. Denise Zimmer. Postal White, Denise, thank you for watching over at Kilwins. Love you, Denise. This is a question that's come in, and you've touched on it. Jeremy Butterfield says, what's up?
Hey, Jeremy.
The question is, your own restaurant. Do you ever want to run your own and start your own restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I guess. This is pretty much, Adam gave me free reign.
Yeah, you have carte blanche.
Yeah. The concept, when they renovated it and we started to get that feel of that saloon. That's really where all this kind of cuisine and the concept came from. So the concept was kind of, not pushed on me by any means, but it was, a group effort, but that's where everyone leaned towards. But I think, like I said, if I opened up something, it would be a lot smaller. I'd do, a lot more comfort food, Gulf Coast cuisine, crab claws, and, just different seafood I grew up on that you don't see a lot around here. Amberjack and different things. And a lot of New Orleans influence. But that'd probably be what I would do. I'd honestly, too, same kind of concept when Craig got out of fine dining and opened Barbecue Exchange. If I went that route and really opened something super casual, I would love to do. I would never do it in this town, I don't think, just because I couldn't step on Mel's toes. But I would love to do a meat and three.
What's a meat and three?
In the deep South, meat and three is you go in. There was a place called Tracy's in Birmingham, and it was actually a buffet. Everything made in house though, and you went in. They probably had 10 proteins to choose from: country fried steaks, hamburger steaks, fried chicken, catfish, different dishes. And then had 30 different vegetables: your mashed potatoes, green beans, corn, okra, fried green tomatoes, all that kind of stuff. You went through the line. You pick a meat. You pick 2 or 3 vegetables. That's where the meat and 3. And you'd go through this line. You'd go in, and there would be it was right across the street from University of Alabama, UAB, very similar to University of Virginia. It was a working hospital, big medical school. And it was directly across the street from the hospital. So, this place was filled with doctors, nurses, constantly. And you walk in, there's probably 100 people in line. You're like, man, I only got 30 minutes for lunch. How the hell am I going to get through this line? You were eating in 10 minutes.
It's like the Bodos.
Yeah, it's exactly very much like a Bodos assembly line. And you went in, and it was a cash only. It was one price. The tax was all included. You get meat, 2 vegetables, and a sweet tea. I think it was $7. Now, granted, this is back in the 90s.
Still, yeah.
If you wanted a third vegetable, it was $8. If you wanted dessert, it was $10. And everybody knew. It was kind of like the soup Nazi. You just went in and you had your way and you just went through the line and you just, if you didn't know how, it was like Bodos. Like if you don't know how to go through Bodos, people behind you are like,
yeah,
come on.
Right.
You're in line for 5 minutes. You should know what to order. You shouldn't be at the cash register going, what?
Right.
And you just went through the line. You were eating. It was all homemade. And Tracy, the man that owned it, was there every day, and I believe they're still in Birmingham. I think they moved away from downtown, but the last I heard, they're still around. And
you're getting a lot of props. Michael Murr says, I love you, Mel.
Hi, Michael.
Michael Murr giving you some props here.
High school friend.
Hi, you got a lot of them right here. We got another one coming in for Twitter, and you kind of touched on this already, and if you have a question, leave it in the stream. We'll spend a couple more minutes. Tyler Berry from Catch the Chef, the food cart that's often on the mall. Thank you for watching, Tyler Berry. Guys, if you can like and share the stream, no matter the channel you're watching it on, that would mean a lot to us. Put the spotlight on Junction and a positive spotlight on Charlottesville. And Charlottesville needs a positive spotlight. You kind of touched on this already. As such a talented chef, this is from Rodriguez. As such a talented chef, Melissa, what do you think Charlottesville is missing from its food scene?
Wow, you get that question a lot. There's not a lot we don't have. I don't feel like we do have, like I was just saying there,
your concept.
The Gulf Coast cuisine.
Yeah.
We definitely have, there's not a lot we don't have. We just got some Korean food in town. We've got a lot of different Middle Eastern foods that have come up in town recently. Definitely a lot of ethnic food in this town. But I don't know, I'd have to think a little bit hard on it. There was something we were talking about the other day that we were missing, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was now. It'll come to me.
Okay, is it every chef's dream to own their own restaurant? No, some chefs want the steady pay, clock in, clock out, and go home.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a lot of headache owning a business, as you know. Whether it's a restaurant business or stationery shop or clothing shop.
I work 70 hours a week. I work every single day. Yeah. I've taken one vacation in 11 years. I'm constantly putting out fires. Yeah. Got here at 7:30 in the morning.
Won't leave till 7:30 tonight.
Yeah, that's 100% what's going to happen. And, back in the day, before, having our wonderful son, we would go directly to a place like yours and say, like, I need to unwind and I need to have some cocktails. Yeah. Because, just to get rid of the stress there. I got to know through you, through Curtis, through Maddie, some of the other guys, a lot of chefs. And, you're right. A lot of them don't want to get in the game, but a lot of them that do try to get in the game and be the entrepreneur, go from chef to entrepreneur, they not struggle, but they have a hard time with the front of the house dynamic, where like in the back of the house, you guys are to the point. Yeah. I need this like 10 minutes ago. Get it to me, Dan. Yeah. Front of the house, completely different. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, working with Maddie while we opened this, we used to have a dream we'd open our own restaurant together. But when I was helping him run the catering company while we were building Junction, we learned that we probably wouldn't ever open a restaurant together.
Why? Because you're both alphas?
We are alphas.
Yeah, you're definitely an alpha.
But we always did say that, because you can't really have a 2-chef restaurant. There's got to be balance. And we even said if we ever did open a restaurant, I believe Maddie would run the back of the house, and I would take over the front of the house and the top of the house. I would still cook.
Oh, sure. You would kill it in the front of the house. You're so likable.
And it took a long time. And actually, I did my first, how I met Craig Hartman. He was running the Clifton Inn. That was my first internship from New England Culinary Institute. I lived in what's now the dish room, which used to be a bedroom. And my final as an intern, because at the Clifton at the time was a set menu. You got there at 6:30. You had cocktails and passed hors d'oeuvres. And then Craig would come out all dressed in his pretty whites, and he would talk about the menu and the history of Clifton Inn and and Craig is so congenial.
Oh my gosh.
He's like the most charismatic chef I've ever met.
He's one of the best bullshitters I've ever met. Oh my God, he is so
Charm
good.
coming out his ass like you wouldn't believe.
Right.
And my final was I had to write the menu. I had to go out and give the speech. And he's got actually some funny stories from former interns. One guy sold some buffalo and called it was right when what was the Kevin Costner movie when he was with the Indians and stuff.
Oh, that's the Mohicans?
Was that it? I don't remember. Dances
with Wolves. Thank you, Jude, our producer.
And the guy went out there and he was like, Tatanka, buffalo. And so you get nervous and you're talking to these people. But I had to go out and I had to do the speech and I had to go out at dessert and roam the tables. And it's an important part. It's if you're going to become an executive chef, people are going to want to meet you. They're going to want to see you.
You guys are stars.
Yeah, and if you don't know how to deal with the public, it's not easy for you and it's not easy for the customer. It becomes uncomfortable and it becomes awkward. And it's just the part that you have to learn. I'm never really enjoy. This isn't what I would choose to do, to be out in the front, but I do like it. I do like the connection. I like the personal one-on-one with my customers. I do like to hear it right away. It's satisfying.
I think you're really good at it. You come out, and I know this firsthand because we've eaten there a number of times. She comes out in her chef whites and just is like smiling and, shaking hands and kissing babies, for lack of a better phrase. And just is like, hey, I'm Mel. I'm the chef. How do you like it here? And dude,
tell me if it sucks, too. That's one thing chefs really want to hear.
Yeah, right? You have thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she makes you, when she comes to the table, she makes you feel like you're like the only guest in the restaurant. She makes you feel so good. And it's clear. Gregory Lewis from Maya.
Yeah.
He says, I love watching Melissa while knifing through a case of Brussels. Best of wishes, Melissa. Keep counting them onions. You are awesome.
Thanks, Greg.
We have more comments we have to get to. This one is from Gail Wardell Khan says, Mel is not just a talented creative chef. She's a sweetie with a huge heart.
Aww.
Kristen Danielle, hi Mel, you're a great chef. I'm happy to have worked with you. You taught me a lot. Michael Murr says, have you faced any staffing This is a good one. Have you faced any staffing challenges? The market has become tough to staff here in Austin. One thing, Michael, that is really making the market tough to staff in Charlottesville is we call it the Wegmans effect, where Wegmans has taken a lot of the A and B players, given them bennies, maybe more normal hours, and have them working in the many departments at Wegmans, which unfortunately is leaving C, D, maybe worse players to fill those roles.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yep. Michael and I went to high school together. We reconnected on Facebook, found out, there's an amazing number of people that I grew up with that are in the business. He works in Austin. I got other good friends out there as well. But it is challenging. As we were talking about earlier, we have the 18 restaurants in 45 days when Wegmans Shopping Center opened. And a lot of them are chain restaurants, but they do offer benefits. And a lot of your independent family-run places, you're getting paid by the hour. You don't get many benefits, if any. You work long hours. A lot of times your overtime might get a little sliced, and you try because restaurants, as a general term, are 2% profit.
That's crazy.
As much as we work our ass off,
that is crazy.
2% profit.
Is that the standard?
That at least when I was going through culinary school, that's what we learned. You definitely, if you're a deli, you've got a lot more room for error. But in a fine dining setting, you're looking at 2 to 5% profit. If you're making 10% profit, you are successful.
Right.
And that's just unheard of in most businesses. And so it's just so easy when these franchises come in that have, a Wegmans. It's a great place to work. They're using great food, but they do dangle these benefits and they dangle these $20 an hour wages that you just can't afford in a place when you're trying to keep your costs low. And we get a lot of complaints. And like we try real hard to keep our prices down. And oh my God, I paid X amount of money for a piece of chicken. And it's like, well, if you want local chicken, I'm paying for it. You're paying for it. I keep my food costs. I mean, my percentage is a little higher than you should.
What's your food cost? Like below 30?
Yeah.
Is the rule of thumb 30 or under?
Yeah, 28 is really where you want to look at.
Okay.
If you're hitting the 30 to 31, that's usually where I'm keeping it, where I'm dropping the price for you as a customer and taking the brunt on my side.
Right.
So I think a lot of people just don't realize what it costs to open the doors. Like we started this brunch thing, so yes, please come to brunch Sunday, 10:30 to 2:30.
There's questions coming in about brunch. And Keith Smith, thank you for Dances with Wolves. Keith Smith was exactly right. Anja Anderlecht, the owner of Fig on the UVA corner, says you are super sweet, Melissa. People liking you here. The Junction feed's in fuego right now. If you have a question, comment, any idea, you clearly see she's so likable. Put it on the stream.
It's funny too. I've met other cooks in town that I didn't know, like line cooks, and like, man, I heard you're scary to work for. I'm like, who the hell says this?
Yeah, are you?
I mean, I can be a bitch.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, but that's
if they're not doing their job,
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
that why?
Yeah.
You're
always short and curt in the kitchen. You don't have time to be
pleasantries.
Yes, please,
yeah,
thank you.
right.
No, it's like put the steak on the damn grill. And that's all you say.
I'm short and curt in this office setting, not just a kitchen. See, Judah, I don't have time to say please, thank you. He's rolling his eyes up. I'll get you the 6-pack at the end of the shift, Judah.
Exactly.
He's rolling his eyes at me. It's tough. It's tough. Let me throw this to you right here. Andre Xavier, thank you so much for watching. Like and share the stream if you could. Brunch. A lot of questions coming in on brunch. Why did Junction start brunch? What do you like about brunch? What are some of the items we should eat, Melissa, at brunch?
Well, La Taza closed back in September. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And they had a booming brunch business. And, and Moss does a quarterly brunch. I've always enjoyed brunch. It's really kind of one of the cook's nightmares. You hear it all the way from Anthony Bourdain hated it, and people hate to cook brunch because, usually you're closing at Saturday night. You're getting home at 12, 1, 2 in the morning. And you got to turn back around and be back at work at 8 in the morning, and you're cracking eggs, for God's sake. But I really thought it was a good market for us. And, we've struggled a little bit. We try to do Saturday and Sunday brunch. And, we were all like, people were like, nobody does a Saturday brunch. So I was like, well, maybe there's a reason. But, we're business is starting to pick up the last 2 weeks. We've probably doubled in numbers at brunch.
Your brunch is bomb. It's bomb.
It's simple food. You're not, because you want to get in and out. Alec we have a penny mimosa. You pay, I think it's $12 or $13 for your first one, and then it's a penny for every mimosa after that.
That's your way of doing the bottomless.
Because you can't do bottomless.
You can't do it in Virginia. Mm-mm. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. Alex, yeah. Alec, props to you. That is a brilliant idea.
So, we have, I taking classic brunch biscuits and gravy, but we use chorizo and bacon in it, and so it's got a little more of that Southwest feel. Homemade biscuits. We have a great French toast that we make with some orange infused batter and do a grilled pineapple rum compote on top. We have a couple of savory dishes. We do a shrimp and corn enchilada with a chipotle cream sauce. And then your classics. We take the Eggs Benedict, and you can do it with smoked salmon, chorizo, or serrano ham. We also have, of course, you can't have a Southwest plate without having your huevos rancheros.
They're so good.
And
that's
our most popular item.
One I get. Yeah.
It's just we make our own guacamole, our own salsa, the Double H Farms chorizo, a couple fried eggs. Man, that might be what I make when I get to work.
That sounds delicious. I might be following you to work. I got a 3:00 show with Mary Burkholdt, so I would be following her to work. More questions coming in. And guys, we've gone 90 minutes. This was initially a 60-minute interview, but she's doing so well. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as possible here.
Yeah, I got to get to work too. So.
You got to get to work too. Okay, we're going to close in 5 minutes. Get your questions in now here for Melissa. She's a popular gal. One of the questions, tell us about your time with Frank Stitt and getting to meet Anthony Bourdain, the late, great Anthony Bourdain.
My idol. Anthony
Bourdain is your idol?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, and Frank Stitt too. Frank Stitt is, if you are worth your salt as a cook and worked in Birmingham, you worked for Frank Stitt somehow. There's 2 degrees of separation with every great chef in Birmingham with Frank Stitt.
Interesting.
He owns Highlands Bar and Grill, which was his first restaurant he opened, and he was probably the first person in Alabama to start doing fine dining food that wasn't country club food. You know, not your potato lyonnaise and steak with béarnaise sauce. And he took Southern cuisine and made it fine dining. And he was probably one of the first people in the country. Like I said, he was this year's best chef for James Beard. His pastry chef, Dahl, had won the pastry chef as well. Her cakes are amazing. I dream of her coconut pecan cake every night. And he owns, I think, 3 or 4 restaurants in Birmingham now. Highlands Bar and Grill is his flagship. Bottega was his Italian place. He has a fine dining side to it. And I worked in the cafe that had a wood brick oven, more casual fare. And now he's got a French bistro called Cafe Fonfon. Amazing guy. He actually came and did a guest chef with me at Barbersville.
Cool.
He was one of those intimidating chefs. Like, you know, he would walk in the kitchen because he had multiple restaurants. So he was more at Highlands than anywhere. So when he came into Bottega, we were all like sitting up straight and pulling the hair back and watching the language. And then he came up here and as a comrade, and you know, it was so amazing to work with him as an equal almost, but he's still always going to be on a pedestal to me. And we had so much fun. Chris Humphreys has admired him for years, so he came out.
Chris Humphreys.
And you know, Fellini's, everybody go there and support Chris and Sarah. But he came down. Chris came and worked with us that day, and we were all drinking PBRs in the parking lot, sitting on the ground by the end of the night.
Why didn't you call me? That sounds like what I.
This was, I think, before you were in town. This was probably 10 years ago.
I was in here since 2000.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's right. So, I mean, it was just amazing to be able to go back as more of an equal and work with him instead of work for him, because he really scared the shit out of me when I was an up-and-coming cook. And he taught me a lot. And he taught me a lot about precision and consistency. And because we had an open kitchen. It was the first time I had an open kitchen where you had to learn what you say, or you watch what you say and watch how you act. And you have to have a little bit more demeanor. And
because the guests are watching you.
Yeah, and he's a great man. And if you're ever in Birmingham, please go support any of his restaurants. And then Chris Hastings, if you've ever heard of him, he has Hot and Hot Fish Club. He was a protege of Frank's. A good friend of mine, Drew Robinson, who is now the R&D for a place called Jim and Nick's Barbecue, was his chef de cuisine at Highlands for years and years and years. Great places if you're ever in Birmingham. Birmingham is a very up-and-coming food city in Alabama.
I can talk with you all day. Unfortunately, we have to go to work here. This is how we're going to close, and I want to turn it into a highlight reel. And I'll thank the sponsors so you have an opportunity to think of the answer. Before we get to that, Melissa Baluta Mahoney.
New England culinary classmate.
She says you are absolutely amazing and you sound
thanks,
fantastic. So here's the question I'm going to ask you. And Harris, let's turn this into the last sizzle reel and then we're going to close. I want to talk to you about being now like a leader, an influencer, a pioneer. People clearly, and it's obvious by the contributions to the stream, look up to you. And your thoughts on being now like, the Craig Hartman of this generation in some ways, okay?
Oh, my God, that's an honor.
You're a leader of that kind. So that's what I'm going to throw to you, and we'll turn it into a highlight reel. We'll thank the sponsors, guys. Greenberry's, of course. Thank you for being a part of the show. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies since 1969. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies have been a home's best friend. They're a 4-generation strong business. Tyler Berry says, I've never met Melissa, but after this interview, I got to, and I love her kitchen talk. This is so exciting. Of course, he's a chef himself.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's how we're going to close. Sizzle reel, and we'll get you to interact with that camera there. Melissa Close-Hart, you are now a pioneer, leader, an influencer. People look up to you in Charlottesville and Central Virginia and the Commonwealth in totality as a chef. Put in perspective what that means to you, whether it's pressure, whether it's embrace. What just goes through your head when people say you're a chef, pioneer, and leader in this state?
I love my parents for a million reasons. Giving me work ethic and compassion is something that I think has lasted through my entire career in my life. I'm just a cook, I've made it to this point by hard work and being influenced by people like Frank Stitt and Craig Hartman. And if people look at me that way, I think that's great. And I just want to strive to be able to be looked up to and hope that I can live up to that image.
I think you totally are.
Thank you.
Clearly, Anja Andalik says there needs to be a part 2 of this. I've watched from start to finish. Can you do part 2 next week? She is. We have a dynamic here. This is not our first rodeo of doing something like this. First time doing it live. You rock.
Thank you,
You're
sir.
You're a cool lady.
Thank you.
Cool. Junction Restaurant. Belmont.
Come see us.
Come
We have
see
plenty
'em.
of spaces for private parties. We have brunch on Sunday, closed on Mondays.
We did our rehearsal dinner there, over 100 people on the second floor of Junction Restaurant. Very few restaurants in Charlottesville and Central Virginia can accommodate a party of that size. Keep them in mind for private parties at Junction. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
For
Always a
joining us.
pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Guys, in 57 minutes, we're doing another program, and we need to prep for this show. These guys
I need to
hate
go to
my
Marie
guts.
Bet and get me some pastries.
These guys hate my guts right now. We are back in 57 minutes with a brand new show. It's the Caring for Creatures show, where we spotlight Charlottesville and Central Virginia's first no-kill animal sanctuary, the nonprofit that is taking the animals that are going to be euthanized at other facilities across the East Coast. She is getting them, Mary Burkholtz, the founder and president, from these other shelters and bringing them to Fluvanna County and saving their lives and then rehoming them. I love that stuff. I'm an animal lover. So is Mel. So we want to give her a forum where she can talk about her mission and her story and what she's doing oh so well. My name is Jerry Miller. I close the same way every time. Please, Charlottesville, Virginia, please be good to each other and please embody the golden rule. If you're good to each other and embody the golden rule, Charlottesville is going to be a better place. We're going to see you in 56 minutes with the Caring for Creatures show here on the I Love CVille Network.
Sorry for talking too long.
Take care, guys. It was so good. So effing good. No, seriously. I mean, part 2 next week is not a bad idea. I know you're super busy, but hey, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It was totally a pleasure. This is what you can expect from us. The interview over the next 30 days will be syndicated across our network. The interview will be loaded in totality. And then every time I said sizzle reels, he's cutting them into shorter clips, and those will be uploaded. And then we'll also create a package here where it's a URL that we share as well. The last thing we need is just a photo.
Sure.